Welcome to Unsarkari. We will be covering today the newspaper edition of 1st of January. To begin with, RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra has said that amid uncertain and challenging global economic conditions, the Indian economy is expected to show robust growth that is supported by resilient domestic demand, low inflation, and prudent macroeconomic policies. However, Sanjay Malhotra noted that geopolitical and trade-related uncertainties pose near-term risk. The RBI governor has said that 2025 was a challenging year due to various factors, including geopolitical conflicts, trade tensions, most notably from incoming of the American President Trump and his impending tariffs, and also persistent policy uncertainty had cast a shadow over the global economy and the financial system in 2025. But however, the world economy has proven to be more resilient than anticipated, and the financial systems have also remained steady. The RBI governor lastly said that the outlook for 2026 and beyond is shrouded in uncertainty, and because of the contours of policies that are reshaping the global economic landscape. And to add further to it, the American attack on Venezuela would also, would impede in fluctuating oil prices and would be a detriment to India's exchequer. Moving on, S. Jaishankar, our external minister, visited Dhaka and passed over the PM's letter to Tariq Rahman, the son of Bangladeshi former Bangladeshi Prime Minister Khalida Zia. The Prime Minister offered his condolences and further of his nation. The Prime Minister has also, with the medium of Mr. Jaishankar, passed the passed the remark of partnership between both the countries when they're going through a difficult diplomatic relationship in past few months. Upcoming elections in February in Bangladesh, where the BNP is poised to win, would be a major event and would foresee the Indo-Bangladesh bilateral relations. Moving on, US firm and NTPC, that is National Thermal Power Commission, would be teaming up to fuel India's thorium ambitions. Chicago-based Clean Core Thorium Energy that would become the second company to partner up with NTPC to fuel India's thorium ambitions. This comes in the wake of Shanti Act, which would be felicitating the private incoming or in the nuclear energy sector. It would the Shanti Act reduces the liability of third-party nuclear fuel providers, and it would be a significant part in uh, infusing nuclear energy ambitions in the Indian nation. The thorium concept is also very important because it is an important alternative to uranium. It creates lesser amounts of long-lived radioactive waste and potentially lowers the proliferation risk. Furthermore, India has very abundant deposits of thorium, most notably in the beaches of Kerala and Odisha. So, coupled with the Shanti Act and teaming up of NTPC, moving further, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, uh, stressed upon the mantra of reform, perform, and transform at the 50th meet of Pragati, that is a platform that was launched in March 25th, 2015. It was a multi-purpose and multimodal platform that aimed at addressing common man's grievances and simultaneously monitoring and reviewing important programs and projects of the Government of India, as well as projects by state and union territory governments. The Pragati project, which has accelerated project towards more than 85 lakh crores of the past decade, is an important platform which is important in monitoring important infrastructure projects across the country. The PM emphasized that use of technology in each and every phase of a project life cycle is fundamental to the success of that project. The platform Pragati must be strengthened further in the years ahead to ensure faster execution and higher quality and measurable outcome for the citizenship. The Prime Minister asked all his chief secretaries closely monitor the, the PM Shri scheme, that is the Prime Minister's School for Rising India. He emphasized that efforts must be made for making the PM Shri schools benchmarks for other schools of the state governments. He suggested that senior officers of the central government should undertake field visits to evaluate the performance of the PM Shri schools. Pragati, the Pragati platform exemplifies cooperative federalism and breaks silo-based functioning, the Prime Minister added at the 50th meeting. He described this as a milestone and as a symbol of deep transformation of India, which has been witnessed in the culture of governance over the last decade. Since 2014, 377 projects have been reviewed under the Pragati platform, and across these projects, almost all, around 94%, have been resolved, significantly reducing delays, post overruns, and coordination failure. Moving on, upon the India Australia Pact, as of January 1, 2026, Indian goods face no tariffs entering Australia, and 3 years after the Australia India Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement, that is ECTA, Australian exports been have been free access to Australia's nearly 2 trillion economic, and in return many Australian goods now enter India under reduced or zero duties. Driven by ACTA, trade between Australia and India has crossed 50 billion Australian dollars, or 3 lakh crore Indian rupees. This has been achieved for the first time in both the nation history. In the past 5 years, the good trade between both the countries has doubled, and Australian commodity exports to India have also grown considerably. Meanwhile, Indian exports to Australia have expanded much faster than to the rest of the world. India's global goods exports have grown by 40%, which is remarkable, but more remarkable is that in that same period, India's goods export to Australia were up by 200%. All in all, both the countries are benefiting with trade, and has emphasized the Prime Minister's goal of growth and income prosperity and shared growth. The economies of both the countries are a natural fit. And Australia poses as a key critical mineral and rare earth, and also scaling expertise that the Australian market provides. Lastly, today, the Supreme Court's journey in 2025 and what is up next in front of it in 2026. 2025 marked a year that was dominated by a series of controversial incidents turning the glare on the judiciary. 2025 was a hard year for the Supreme Court, which navigated through several controversies and incidents, most notably of the allegations of cash being found at the official residence of then Delhi High Court Judge Yashwant Verma. Also, the failed impeachment motion against Allahabad High Court Judge Justice Shekhar Yadav over his controversial speech about uh, anti-minority speech. Furthermore, it was also a controversial year because of two former Chief Justices, that is B.R. Gawai and D.Y. Chandrachud, defending their judgments in post-retirement interviews, which is also an ethical and moral blot on the SC, and which the Supreme Court has highlighted numerous times that the the judges should stay away from the limelight post retirement and should not bring anything that would bring in their judgments, their their opinions on anything controversial and open for negative debate. Furthermore, a two-judge bench in state of Madras versus Governor of Madras held timelines for the governor and president in the legislative process, effectively that were undone through a presidential reference by Draupadi Murmu. The top court has also overturned its judgment banning retrospective environmental clearances. All in all, this was a legal for the legal landscape and the Supreme Court galvanizing year. The most integral and controversial aspect of the year was that there may be the first impeachment of a judge of a constitutional court in the forming of impeachment of Judge Yashwant Verma. This would be the first time in independent India's history that a sitting judge would be impeached through a political consensus in the parliament. The matter is sub judice by the speaker, and 2026 would most probably see the impeachment of Justice Yashwant Verma. Furthermore, the post retirement interviews of Chief Justices Chandrachud and B.R. Gawai defending their rulings, most notably the Babri Masjid case defended by Chandrachud, uh, you know, gave certain side eyes in the public forum, and Justice Gawai's defense of his Aravali verdict was also a controversial take on the public image of the judges. Also, the collegium, which has been shrouded in mystery and has been attracting criticism for non-transparency, recommended VP Pancholi for the Supreme Court, which he would be uh, the future CGI in 5 to 6 years, and which was questioned and dissented by the only woman justice in the Supreme Court, B.V. Nagaratna, and that she also opined that the dissent must be publicly notified, but was not the case. Further, the apex court would be has given many landmark rulings throughout the year, most notably the 2025 on the 2025 work law, which state two key provisions. The 2026 would be also marked by challenges to the Place of Worship Act 1991 and the Karnataka hijab ban. Furthermore, the SIR, which rocked the country, that were used in Bihar ahead of its poll in December, was a key issue that came under the scrutiny of the Supreme Court, where the EC provided a list of 11 documents, excluding the voter ID and the card, Aadhaar ID, which was challenged before the Supreme Court. The SC directed that Aadhaar must be used as the 12th document to establish proof identity, and also it was closely monitored under the purview of the Supreme Court. Furthermore, the CAA Act, which has been challenged as ultra virus of the Constitution, is would be heard in 2026 and would be marked by a pivotal year, which the Supreme Court would decide upon matters of religion, citizenship, and liberty. Omar Khalid's bail, which would be heard just within a week of this particular video, would be a key factor and a key landmark in this important year. By this, I would be ending this video. Thank you.